Well, let's see here. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is out there in YouTube land. I am your host for Anarchy Television, the Wingnut Radio. Um, well, I did a video earlier, not too long ago, showing off one of my newest Blue Unicorn. Good to see you, sir. I was showing off one of my some of my leather work on another video. I just wanted to do it again just for shits and giggles. But yeah, I'm going to be making some more. Marcy, good to see you too. I'm going to be making some leather work. And this is one of my wallets, like a trucker's wallet. It's got two main pockets, you know, so you can put stuff in there, and two, like one here is big enough for an ID or whatever, and another one right here. Now I did all this sewing on my shoe patcher sewing machine. I might try my hand at hand stitching again. I was not really good at it. I might try it again, but I do like how my sewing machine did on such a multi-layered leather, and this actually turned out pretty good. My first try making one of these in leather. It could have been better in some aspects, and I can see what I could do better next time. And give it about 3 or 4 more times, I'll probably be pretty good at it. And like I said, I'm going to try and make different designs. I'm gonna start with wallets and stuff like that. And now I'm not sure how yet, but I will probably put some of these up for sale if somebody's interested in this kind of thing. Um, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet, um, and all that other good stuff. But yeah, anyway, you guys, I've been having a few things running around in my head for a while. Um, let's see here. If you guys have been hanging out, and at least paying attention to some of my personal problems in my life, like my, transportation problems. Um, I haven't had a vehicle in a while. For one, Patty, good to see you. For one, the vehicle broke down, and I haven't had any way of fixing it. And I might end up just scrapping it anyway. Um, I can't afford a vehicle, so that's not the only thing. My driver's license it expires in a few months, and ever since that unpatriotic Patriot Act after 9/11, the federal government has basically forced the states in compliance with this new Real ID, which is not it's not like a state driver's license anymore. It's a federal digital ID card. I don't want anything to do with it. Never did when they first brought it up. And now um, I'm down to this point where I have to, if I want to continue to have a driver's license to or whatever, anything like that, I have to go in compliance with the Wolverines. What's up? I have to go in compliance with this new Real ID, and it's been on my mind for a while if I am going to comply, which at this moment I have decided, because I don't have a vehicle anyway. Uh, at this point, I've decided not to. Um, we have this natural right to travel. It's even in the Constitution. Um, just even though the federal government kind of wipes their ass with the Constitution anyway. So, and Supreme Court is held up. We have the right to travel unencumbered, no license required, no insurance required. Yeah, insurance is a good thing. It's not required. But the way they have played this, see the people that make up the government, they have this idea that in an emergency it's okay to break the law. So what they'll do is they'll create emergencies to break the law. I mean, that's kind of like with the Patriot Act and all this other shit. It's basically, going against our natural rights. They're supposed to be protected under the Constitution. See, our natural rights are not given to us by the Constitution, by the government in any way. We, the people that are the sovereign, each one of us are born sovereign. But the thing is that they've instituted all these contracts for all of us to get into, to put us into slavery. One being the birth certificate, and then on and on and on and on. And with the new Real ID, see, the thing is like, okay, if I wanted to get the new Real ID, I have to submit my birth certificate, social security card, and 2 forms of residency, which I don't claim to be a resident. If you look at the legal definition of resident, I don't even claim to be a person. If you look at the legal definition of person, or a citizen, I don't claim to be a citizen either. If you look at the legal definition of citizen. Honestly, if you believe you are a citizen, person, or a resident, I really believe that you need CPR, because they look at you as dead on arrival. Thing is I had a conversation with one of my relatives, who was ex-military, was in the Vietnam War, parts of the Vietnam War, and I've never been in military, never had to fight a war or anything like that. We had this heated conversation because he's got this mentality that, since he served in the military, um, I don't know. It almost makes me feel like it. Now I don't know if this is how it was supposed to be meant, but it almost makes me feel like that. You know, uh, that he feels like he's better than me, and I'm just one of those people that's never done anything for this country. And I'm like, okay, listen. No, I asked him. I was like, okay, what'd you join the military for? Because he wanted to serve. You know, and his basically for an ideal, uh, for a belief that he was serving the country or uh, in service of the people, trying to fight communism. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, how's that working out for you when our country's turning into communist? You know, why aren't you fighting this corporation posing as our government that is implementing communist policies and stuff like that, acting like the domestic terrorists of this country? Aren't you fighting that? You know, his mentality is kind of like get along, go along to get along. This is the way it is. You can't fight the government. So, like in the title, um, to what end? To what end do we just get along or go along to get along? To what end? Do we all just get along or go along to get along until what? What until what end is the question. You know, it brings me to this too. I haven't had a jobby job in a while. I've been kind of doing my own thing, scraping my ass, just kind of making whatever I can, odd jobs, and making, you know, stuff kind of like the wallet thing or my metal art or my knives and stuff like that. Actually, I've been kind of doing that for the past 4 years. When the beer bug came into play, I was laid off, and I was just kind of forced into really trying to turn my hobbies into a business, which it is really hard to make a living making knives, metal art, uh, and other stuff that I can make. It's really hard to do that. I mean, I've been paying my bills and putting food at my table and feeding the dog, but I've been scraping by, and I've been pretty much broke as a joke the whole time, and it's not a steady paycheck. So just recently, I put an application in a in a gas station that has a deli in there, and it's so I can work in the deli, cooking, frying up food and shit. But I miss the old days when it comes down to this because the um, the amount of paperwork. I mean, I literally had to sign 30 different agreements or contracts just to you know to to get the job. You know, I had to literally put my signature on 30 different pieces of paper, which is all individually its own contract, its own agreement on different things. Everything from like getting drug tests to, you know, all kinds of other stuff. Basically, signed my life away. This is another thing too. The drug test thing. See, I like to smoke pot. I haven't been able to smoke pot in a while because I haven't been able to afford it, and two, I don't have a vehicle, so I can't just go out and go get it because the guy I used to know don't live anywhere near me, so I haven't been able to get it anyway. But I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, and this is another thing too. I had to agree if I want to get the job, I have to agree with this contract that they'll give me a drug test to get the job, and then I also had to agree to potentially have a drug test every 3 months. Potentially. Now that may or may not happen because they do kind of a random thing. That's what they said. But potentially, I would have to get a drug test every 3 months. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, basically this corporation that I'm trying to get a job with wants to control even my personal life outside of the job. Wants to control my off time in my own home when it doesn't have anything to do with the job. Won't affect the job in any way. Like if I wanted to smoke a joint and I did, and then I get drug tested like a couple of weeks later, which, marijuana, depending on, how heavy you are, how much fat you got and all that stuff, it's anywhere from 20 to 35 days it stays in your system, generally without any other help to try and get it cleaned out. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, so if I smoke a joint and I get popped for a damn drug test and about 2 or 3 weeks later, and I haven't smoked anything in that whole 2 or 3 weeks, if I come up dirty, I could lose my job because I've agreed that they will terminate me if I come up dirty. So I'm sitting there thinking, this damn corporation, is giving me the choice to either get the job and agree to their terms and stuff like that, or not get the job. I just find that, to me, I think it's an invasion of privacy, for one. Whatever I do in my own home and on my time is my business. Because and I get it. I'm not going to be sitting there smoking pot on the job. I totally get that. It's a drug-free workplace. That's fine. We can have a drug-free workplace. I'll agree to that. But what I do on my own time, in my own home, is my business. But since that stuff stays in your system, it doesn't matter to that corporation, to that business. And that's just a micro type scenario of the whole of where we are going in this country. When it comes down to it, is communist type mentality, the corporatism. See the difference between communism and fascism. Communism is more like the government controls everything, and fascism is like the corporations own and run everything, including the government, because they'll pull the strings because they get the money. So it's kind of like we're in a mixture of the both, big mixture of the two, fascism and communism. And sitting there, these evil people, they keep on talking about. I was sitting there listening to something like in the Senate, all these different arguments and different bills and all this stuff. And there's this one lady that kept on coming up talking about this stupid climate change shit. There are people that are already thinking on how to implement it now because of climate change. They'll throw it in there as the climate change thing. They'll try and throw like this Clean Air Act, and they will tax us just to breathe. Just to breathe, we'll be taxed to breathe because of this Clean Air Act scenario. You know, it's getting, well, it's already there. We're pretty much, we have, we all have to pay a fee just to exist on this fucking planet to somebody. We got to pay a fee, and it's really it's brought down through the people that are running the government, or the people that make up the government. For lack of better words, I'll just say the government. You know, because I'm including all those people that make up that government, and then all those bureaucrats and all those fucking lobbyists and all those other investment corporations like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and all that other shit that wants to control the planet and everything on it. And actually, what they want to do is they got this thing where they want to tokenize everything, every tree, every plant, every animal on this planet, tokenize it, so they can have a record of it, a digital record. And it brings me back down to the digital ID, the new real digital ID, national digital ID. You know, if I want to get that, you know, just to drive a car, which, you know, technically if I when I go get a driver's license all my life, I have been committing fraud all my life because I'm not a driver. I'm technically I'm a traveler. That's, if you read the letter of the law, I am technically a traveler. When I claim I am a driver and I claim that my automobile is actually a motor vehicle, I'm actually committing fraud. I'm actually lying just so I can get the license, you know, and basically not get harassed by cops, you know, if not kidnapped and put in a cage and maybe even killed. You know, see, this is the thing too, is like, you know, government is this huge religion. Government is this huge religion that has its own belief system, its own language, its own enforcement. And the tyranny of these evil men are like the cops. That's the tyranny of those evil men. And most of these cops don't even know the law. No, they just, you know, go out there, you know, basically extorting people for money, you know, kidnapping people, imprisoning people, and murdering people. I mean, actually, if you think about it, honestly, man, the biggest criminal organization in this country is law enforcement. Not to mention all the other three-letter agencies and the IRS and other shit. Those are domestic terrorists also, but the largest domestic terrorists are, you know, the biggest. The criminals are bigger than any, you know, mafia, and bigger than any gang out there. Are cops. You know, and cops, you know, what does they make? $30 billion a year just in traffic stops. Something like that, 30 to 35 billion dollars a year just in traffic stops. That's just in traffic stops. Let that sink in. And you know, like when it comes down to mafias and just gang members, you know, like Folk, Crip, Blood, whatever, all those Venezuelan gangs and shit, whatever, it doesn't matter. They don't have qualified immunity, and they're not backed up, you know, by the whole system. And, you know, so that it makes cops even bigger than those, because, you know, they've got qualified immunity. You know, even if you were to win a lawsuit, against, wrongdoing from cops or anything like that. Guess who gets to pay for that? The American people. You know, the American people are the ones that gets terrorized, and when they make mistakes or they do wrong, we have to pay for their mistakes. They don't get penalized. They don't get thrown in jail. It's rare. Don't get me wrong. They do every once in a while, but the only reason is because it gets so politicized and publicly noticeable. They have no choice but to do something about it. You know, as the justice system. I mean that's just a support system for the cops. See, mafias and gang members don't even have that. They don't have a support system like that. They don't have qualified immunity and all this other shit. So, in my opinion, the biggest criminal organization in this nation are cops. They're the domestic terrorists of this country, and we pay for it, basically funding our own slavery. You know, and everything. Blue Yukon, I'm telling you, man, seriously, everything is getting expensive, and it's getting higher and higher and higher. You know, the cost of living has gone so high up, and my wages haven't moved. Actually, I was making more in 2007 than I am now. 2006, 2007, I was doing construction. My minimum wage, I wouldn't take anything less than $30 an hour. I haven't seen anywhere near that since then. Since 2008 came around, everything dropped for me, and construction just kind of went shit downhill. I haven't really made anywhere near those type of wages since. But the cost of living just keeps on going sky high. And like I said, there's all these people that want to rule. They want to be masters of the universe. They want to rule over us. And I don't see any legitimacy in rulership at all. I don't see any legitimacy of anyone having the right to rule over others. And we're just supposed to be obligated to obey. I don't see any legitimacy in that. Gary, what's up? And so back to the New Real ID and the conversation I had with one of my family members when he was like, "So what are you doing? What are you doing?" Well, I didn't say this to him because he, in his mind, what he's served, so he's better than me because he served. And I'm like, well, in my mind, you were part of the industrial complex, military industrial complex, and you were fighting wars for bankers, for a fucking corporation posing as the government here in the United States, or in America, basically, and you were just nothing but a puppet for them. But you think that you were, fighting for the people here in America. Gary, what's up? That is just flat out bullshit, because look where it's gotten us. It's actually made the military even more powerful and more influential. When people actually, contribute to that. When you sign up to go to the military, you might have this ideal. You might have this belief system that you're fighting the good fight. You're fighting for our country. You're fighting for the people. And that is a lie. That might be your belief. That might be the ideal that you went in on, but that's not the reality. So, what am I doing? Well, in my own way, which, you know, could be futile in what I'm doing, but and I am just a drop in the bucket because there's so many people that are complying. Just like, for instance, the new Real ID scenario. So many people are complying because their lives depend on them having a car and be able to get around. And it's so easy to just comply, go along to get along. No resistance whatsoever. So that's why I'm saying, even what I'm doing right this moment, which is what I'm doing, is my own form of resistance, you know, my own form of non-compliance. I'm just not going to get it. I'm not going to get the new Real ID. Therefore, I'll probably just be riding a bicycle for the next 30 years, which kind of sucks. Or I actually, get off my ass and actually figure out exactly what I need when it comes down to certain things to declare myself as a man and live as a man and travel the roads as a man without getting a license, getting a fucking tag for a car, and just traveling in my automobile whenever I can afford one and doing it like the law. Even Supreme Court has ruled on this also. So I mean, I don't care what cops think and what their revised statutes say and all this other shit. I don't give a shit. You know, I'm down to that point where I'm just like, I want to actively resist against this tyranny that's being forced upon us, all of us. I don't even want the job that I'm getting. I'll probably start working probably in the next couple of days. Considering whatever, I seriously think since I haven't been able to smoke pot in a while, so most likely I'll probably pass the drug test. Most likely, which is unfortunate because I really wish I could say I can't pass the drugs test because I miss smoking pot. You know, I've been smoking pot since I was 14 years old, pretty much every single day. This has gone on for months now without a vehicle. So that's forcing me to stop. For one, I just can't really afford it. And two, I can't even get to it. So it's unfortunate, because honestly, man, I have uh, I do have some rough edges. And sometimes, you know, marijuana can actually soften those edges a little bit. And I could be doing so much worse. I could be drinking alcohol. I could be doing fucking coke or crack or fucking whatever else. You know what I mean? Matt. I could do so much other worse shit, which I don't. I like to smoke pot. That just happens to be my thing. I like doing that. That's what I like to do when I, like, you know, I'd like to try to limit it to, like, at the end of the day, after I've done what I need to do, I sit back, at the end of the day, that'd be like my dessert after dinner. You know, that's something I like to do. I'm not trying to escape reality, because reality is so fucking crazy. We're almost living in this movie, you know, as it is, you know, witnessing the fall of Rome in front of our eyes in real time. And yeah, it is, right? And Renee, it is medicine. It also has many other uses, not just in the medical part of it. That's another thing too, man. Even if I had a medical, um, uh, like a doctor's type prescription for the medical marijuana, I still wouldn't be able to get this job with that. They wouldn't. They don't even allow that, or it's against their policies or whatever. Which pisses me off because I'm just like, like I said, what I do on my own time in my own home is my fucking business. You know, I'm not going to be sitting there getting high on the job and all this other shit and coming high and all that other stuff. That's just not me. I'm not doing that. Which I understand what they're trying to say at their company, but what I do on my own time, on my off days or whatever, at the end of the day, and before I go to sleep or whatever, that's my own fucking thing. But like I said, since the stuff stays in your system, there's a chance that they could throw up a random drug test. And, like if I had smoked a week earlier, like I smoked one joint like a week earlier, they pop a random drug test on me. Next thing I come up dirty and they fire me, which is bullshit. Has nothing to do with the job. Didn't affect my job. Didn't affect the work that I did. But if I come up dirty, boom, they'll fire me. That's what pisses me off because, like I said, I ended up putting my damn signature, which I really fucking hate, putting my signature on agreements or technically a contract. I had to put my signature on 30 fucking different pieces of paper. This was today, actually. 30 fucking pieces of paper today. Basically agreeing to 30 different contracts, 30 different agreements, just so I can get the goddamn job. Gosh, I miss the old days where all I had to do was just walk in there and fill out application. They're like, well, yeah, okay. And then I got the job. That's about it. I miss the days, where all I had to, because construction, when I was doing construction, all I had to do was just walk up on a damn job site with my tools on my hip and say, hey, you guys need any help? I'm looking for a job. And a lot of times they'll hire me right there on the spot. Yeah, I don't need to fucking fill out no goddamn paperwork. I miss those days. I miss the simplicity of a lot of shit that used to be. And it's getting down to this digital fucking nightmare that we're all being forced into that pisses me off. And the reason why we're getting forced into it is because so many people are willing to comply and not willing to resist. If everybody fucking actually actively resisted and actively had non-compliance, they couldn't do this shit to us. You know that, right? They couldn't do any of this shit to us. The only reason why they're able to do it is because there's so many people that are willing to comply and not resisting. Patty, also this too. There was the 40. If you guys happen to, if you ever get the chance, look up the 45 goals of the Communist Party that was read into the congressional record back in 1963. This is some of the reasons why we are where we are. Because I have to give it to them. They pretty much completed those 45 goals. They've done a damn good job. I have to give them that. They've done a damn good job fucking actually, attaining those goals. Pretty much all of them. If you guys ever get the chance to look into them, look into them. See, communist mentality and all that shit, because we have freedom of speech. I don't mind people talking about that kind of shit. I don't care. It's when that becomes policy, when that becomes law, when that becomes statutory, criminal, fucking statutory, bullshit, then we have a problem. I don't care if you have that fucking mentality. I don't care if you like that kind of shit. I don't care. But when it becomes policy, that's when we have a fucking problem. That's when we have a fucking problem. When that mentality get mixed in with our government fucking, government gun pointed at you. Indy, nice to see you, girl. When that communist mentality gets pushed into our, well, like I said, it's not even our government any longer. Like I said, back in the day, it was all bought out and bankrupt and all that other shit. Now it's a corporation. The District of Columbia is not even a part of the United States. It's a foreign land. So same thing with the IRS. It's a foreign corporation. It's not even part of the United States of America. What's going on? We're being invaded, and actually, it's more like it's an invasion. We're being invaded, and overrun. And there's too many people that are willing to comply and too many people willing to enforce it. And not enough people that are willing to, have non-comply, and and very little people out there resisting. Not enough. Not enough. And that's why I'm saying, even in my little resistance and non-compliance with the fucking Real ID, it's a drop in the bucket. Actually, it's a drop in the ocean. I'm just a drop in the ocean because there's so many people that are doing it, including my mom. I was sitting there talking to my mom about that shit, and I was telling her, I was like, I'm just not going to be able to get a damn driver's license again. I'm going to be, riding a bike. Probably have to invest in one of those electric bikes, something. Make it a little easier to ride around, or just risk my life, risk myself from being kidnapped or, and harassed by cops just to, travel freely like I'm supposed to be able to do. I see there are people out there that do it, and I see the type of stuff that they've had to deal with. I know this one guy. He's been doing it for years, but he's also been arrested probably like a dozen times. He's had his vehicle impounded, half a dozen times or something like that. He's had to go through courts and blah blah blah, all this shit, simply to do as we are supposed to be able to do, that's supposed to be protected under the Constitution and supported by some Supreme Court rulings. But yet, these cops don't know this shit. Especially somewhere in the podunk towns and shit like that. These podunk bucket cops, they don't know this crap. They're so trigger happy. The way the cops are taught these days is more like dump a fucking mag and then start asking questions. You know, that's about how they act. You know, that's just dump a mag into them and then start asking questions. That's about the rationale of so many cops around this fucking nation. The domestic terrorists of this fucking country. The ones that we pay to supposedly protect our natural God-given rights. But, and that little oath that they take doesn't mean shit. It's actually contradicting, because they take an oath to the Constitution and they also take an oath to the state and federal laws, which state and federal laws, more times than not, go against the Constitution, go against our rights. So, it's like it's a contradicting oath in a sense. And they actually, the government as a whole, from top to bottom, pretty much just wiped their ass with the Bill of Rights anyway. Just wiped their ass with it. It's like our Fourth Amendment doesn't even exist. Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. Shit. You can't even fucking walk around anywhere with a fucking rifle on your back without getting fucking almost fucking killed. Almost. There's the just look at some of the stuff that the Armed Fisherman down here in Florida has done. YouTube channel, Armed Fisherman. Check him out. He's a good guy. See, here in Florida, we can't open carry. We can conceal carry. And just recently, Governor, decided to, have it close to the Constitution and eliminate getting a concealed carry licenses. You don't have to any longer, which we shouldn't have had that in the first place, because that was unconstitutional in the first place. And technically, we should have open carry also. But the only way legally, the way they got us set up, we cannot bear our arms openly unless we're hunting, fishing, or camping. And he goes fishing a lot, and he carries a fucking rifle on his back and a pistol on his side when he goes fishing, which I don't blame him. In some place, one of the main reasons why he does that is because he had somebody try to rob him one time while he was out fishing. So he's been carrying his fucking weapons with him ever since. But he gets harassed by the cops a lot, because there's so many people, they're so fragile. They think that the only people that should have guns are the cops. The only people that should have guns are the government. Those are the ones that are still in the matrix. Those have that communist mentality. And people like that fucking Joey Behar bullshit fucking, what's her fucking face on The View, don't help anything. They're a bunch of fucking communists fucking also too. They're a bunch of fucking, cunts, in my opinion, lack of better words. And that fucking show should be canceled, in my opinion. That is rotting away the mentality of freedom in this country with that fucking rhetoric. Joey Behar were sitting there talking about how they think that we should get background checks for ammunition. Oh, they're not going to take our guns, y'all. Don't worry about that. They'll just stop us from being able to get ammunition. Those fucking guns will be paperweights. Don't worry about them taking our guns. They're not going to do that. They're going to stop us from being able to get ammunition. Make it so damn expensive or so hard to find or hard to get where we can't even have it. Those guns will be useless. The only ones that will have it will be the fucking government and the government agencies. because the plan is to disarm us. Yeah, news believes they're the problem. I have to agree with you because I'm going to tell you something, man. Um, in the words of the CIA, I can't remember his name, but he was the head of the CIA a long time ago, or a while back ago. He said once, it's like, we will know the disinformation program is working when everything that the American people believe is false. You know, we've been lied to. Yeah, William Casey, that was him. Yep, that's it. Yep, under Reagan. Yeah, exactly. Uh, 9 most dangerous words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help the crap out of you. See, government is not here to save us. Actually, the people that make up the government actually are the ones that create all the problems that we have in our lives. Every bit of the problems that, if you actually think about it, you get down to taxes. Like I said, um, taxes. Every single thing. There's probably not one thing that anybody can think of in the chat. I don't know if you guys can think of anything. If you can think of one thing that doesn't have a tax on it, I mean, just let me know, because I'm curious. If you guys can think of one thing. Oh, thank you, Andy, right there, Armed Fisherman. He's a good guy. If you guys ever get the chance to check out his YouTube channel, check him out. I like him. I have not met him personally, but he's another Floridian like me, and I like what he does and what he's trying to, especially for us here in Florida, is to inform people here in Florida about, when it comes down to opiate carrying here in Florida. Technically, we do have a law saying we can open carry, but you have to be hunting, fishing, or camping according to the law. But when it comes down to a lot of people here in Florida, a lot of people, even in the law enforcement, they don't know about this. Everybody just assumes that there is no open carry whatsoever in Florida, but we do have that concealed carry. At least now, I don't have to get a government permission slip to conceal carry my weapon, because beforehand I had to get pay for a permission slip just to carry my weapon outside of my property line, so I can't actually defend myself with my weapon outside of my property, according to the fucking laws that go against the Constitution. Shall not be infringed. If you actually know the definitions of those words, every fucking gun law is an infringement. Every regulation, everything that goes, it's an infringement, period. So, like I said, it's that contradictory thing. When these cops and these military men take this oath to the Constitution, protect you, from all enemies, foreign and domestic. But the domestic terrorists, the domestic enemies, are the very ones that we put in charge to protect our God-given rights. And they are the domestic enemies. Or at least I don't put any of these fuckers in there. I've never voted in my life. I will not participate in a fraud. It is all a fraud. Every bit of that shit. I want to live in anarchy. I want to live as an anarchist. I want to live with no rulers, no masters. I want to be able to govern myself, have my own self-responsibility, my own fucking self-respect. I don't need these fuckers telling me how to live. And put a gun to my head to live. Like I said, it's like we're being We're being extorted just to exist. Just to exist. I'm not put on this fucking planet to pay taxes and die. And then even then, you know, they got this thing they call death tax. You got to pay a tax even after you're dead. I'm not put on this fucking earth to sit there and labor my entire life just so those fat fuckers sitting up there in DC or wherever can live a comfortable life off of my labor. That's not what I'm put on this fucking earth for. I'm not a fucking slave to these fuckers. You know how they say, you know, the world's a stage. We're all living in like a big movie. I think it's time to flip that script. Not just here in America, but I mean like world fucking wide. You know, because honestly, I think freedom should be more important in people's lives than just going along to get along. Thanks, Indy, for putting links in there too. I appreciate that. You know, I think you're the only mod in there at the moment anyway, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Independent Mini United. Hey, you guys, if you guys don't know her, check her out. She does good stuff too. You know, actually, everybody in there, everybody I see in the chat, I think everybody's good content creators as far as I know. So I mean, you know, check everybody out. I haven't done a live stream in a while. You know, mostly, and I hope the audio and all that stuff is coming out okay. Give me a heads up if the audio and everything sounds okay and all that stuff. I don't even know. But I haven't done a live in a while. You know, I've been watching. Thank you, Indy. Thank you, Indy. Thanks, Renee. I've been watching a lot of other people. I've been, I'm all over YouTube. I'm subscribed to a lot of people out there. I kind of do my window shopping when people are doing live streams. A lot of times, depending on what's going on, I might stick around for a while. I might even get on the panel. But a lot of times I'm just kind of popping in for a little bit and I'll move on to another one and I might move back. But I'm kind of like, I move around a lot. And if people put videos out and stuff like that, I try to keep up with everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just that way. Like I said, I can't watch everybody's shit all the time, but I try to. And I know my stuff is, my channel's not for everybody. I understand that. I get that. I don't really do my channel for y'all out there. I'm glad you guys appreciate some of the stuff I do. I think that's awesome. But I do YouTube for me. I put stuff on YouTube for my own benefit, really. I'm just glad that you guys actually appreciate some of it. Hey, I got my haters out there just like I do on the CB radio. There's some people out there on the CB radio that love me, but there's people out there that are my haters also. It's the same thing on YouTube. The only problem is it's like, well, it's not even a problem. The only thing is that for every one of those haters, there's at least 10 other people out there that enjoy me. So those haters out there don't mean shit to me. Actually, those haters are probably my biggest fans. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, man, they probably watch me. They probably watch my stuff, or they get on the CB radio, and just to hear me because they hate me so much. So they watch my stuff more than people that actually like me sometimes. So they're my biggest fans. So I mean, but they don't. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care what other people think of me either. You can hate me or like me. I don't really care one way or the other. I appreciate if you do like me. Don't get me wrong, but I don't really care one way or the other. You know, I mean, if you don't like what I'm doing, that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't affect me in any way. You know, quite honestly, if it bothers you, um, I would suggest getting professional help because I mean, honestly, that sounds like your problem, not mine. I'll give you an example. One of my relatives hates my answer machine service, my voicemail. I've got this. I recorded this weird message for my voicemail message years ago, and it's been there for I don't know over 10 years now. It's been the same message, and he never really noticed it before. But he called me up not too long ago and got my message, and he hates it. He wants me to change it so bad. I'm like, I like it. Why does it bother you so much? Why does it bother you so much what my voicemail says? And quite honestly, the way I see that, I'm like, well, shit. I think you need to get some professional help to deal with that. You know, you should get some professional help to deal with that. Why it upsets you so much what my voicemail says. Blue Unicorn, I'm telling you, man, Unicorn, I'm gonna tell you something, and that's another thing too. I, you know, I, I think it's so funny that for instance, the voicemail scenario. I think it's so funny that just because he doesn't like it, that I should change it. I'm like, I don't care. I've actually had people call me up and never heard that voicemail before. They thought it was so damn funny. They called me up a second time just so I can hear it a second time. You know what I mean? Because they thought it was funny as shit. You know. So I'm like, like I said, for every one of those people, one of those haters out there, and I'm saying this for anybody else out there too that's got haters out there. This is how you should deal with it. Who gives a flying fuck? Because quite honestly, man, for every one of those people out there that are like a hater or a troll or whatever, I've got 10 other people that enjoy me, enjoy talking to me, and enjoy what I do. So they're a very minuscule part of the total, in my opinion. So I don't really put too much into them. You know, the only problem with trolls and haters and stuff like that, um, you know, when they don't get the attention that they're looking for from you, they don't go away. They just move on to somebody else. That's the only problem with them. You know, um, in a way, I'm okay with people, that are like a hater to me or want to troll me. I'm okay with them continuing to do that because in my mind it's kind of like a public service. I'm saving somebody else from getting that. You know, they're actually concentrating on me so much they're not gonna troll and hate on someone else. So I'm actually, in a way, I'm kind of doing a public service. You know, I'm saving somebody else from that stupid shit because I can deal with it. I've been dealing with that kind of trolls and haters and shit for fucking close to 30 years. With a CB radio for one, and YouTube's nothing different. It's just got video instead of just audio. It's nothing different to me. I've been dealing with that shit for a while. And that's what's so funny too. You know, and the person I'm talking about, really, he's helped me out on a couple of things. Which I'm grateful, to a point, because I mean, honestly, man, there's sometimes, man, I do need help here and there. Um, I don't like asking for help. I don't like having any kind of a debt. I've had most of my life. I've lived my life debt free. I haven't owed anybody anything. I've, you know, I've been, you know, very low on the totem pole when it comes down to it. I'm not like a real smart guy. I'm not rich. Um, I don't have a lot of, you know, fancy stuff. But I don't have any debt. But every once in a while, like, I do need some help. I don't ask for it, but I've got a family member that will offer it to me. The only problem with that is he's the type of person that, that generosity is not without conditions, without expectations. You know, kind of reminds me of like the old mafia bosses. It's like, I gave you a place to stay, I gave you money, I gave you this and that, and this is how you treat me. Blah, blah, blah. you know. I was sitting there. I've been watching some movies lately, and I've been watching. It kind of reminds me of the world that we're living in, which kind of bums me out. It's kind of like a mixture of like Game of Thrones. Um, the fucking. You ever see that movie? Was that the Furiosa and the Fury Road from like the Mad Max scenarios? It's like there's always this evil fucker sitting up high, stealing all the resources, and just doling out the crumbs to everybody else, all the leftovers to everybody else out there. And everybody else is just sitting there scratching their ass and fighting for the crumbs from the people up high. And we're basically living in that right now because this world is abundant. This world has more than enough for everybody. Everyone. It has more than enough for everyone to have their own piece of land, has more than enough to have their own food, their own fucking water. We have more than enough for everyone on this planet. But there are these few evil fuckers out there that want to control all those resources and make everybody believe that it's very limited, because what we get out here is the crumbs. And look, and this is the generosity they give us. They're being so generous with all these crumbs that they give us, all the leftovers. Look at all the generosity. As long as we bow down and kiss their fucking feet. Like I said, it's like all these dystopian, type movies and stuff. Like, what was it? Um, I've just been watching a lot of movies lately. A lot of just crap, really. And also I've been watching like superhero type movies too. Where average everyday people all of a sudden have some kind of superpower. and they use that superpower for good, and people prosper because this person stood up to these evil fuckers. You know, and I know that's all fantasy because Tank Girl's a good movie. Blue Unicorn, I like that movie actually. Tank Girl, that's a good movie. Um, and that's another thing too. It's like we don't have. Oh well, good morning out there, and Gary out there in Ireland. Good to hear you out there. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, it's about. Yeah, you guys are about 6 hours difference. So it's five. It's 11:40 here in the evening. Not even midnight yet. Almost midnight. So you guys are about 6 hours ahead. Devil Dog, what's going on? It's the same time over in the UK, I think, right now too. You know, it's kind of like I was saying, like some of those movies where the underdog or the that everyday Joe stands up and disobeys and non-comply and it doesn't comply and resists the evil that that is being bestowed on all of us and succeeds. There's a part of me that wants that to be a reality. You know, this movie that we're living in a dystopian movie. And why can't we have more of a positive, I know there's no such thing as a utopian, but more of a closer to a utopian. Why don't we even have utopian type movies out there? That actually, and this drives me nuts about some of these damn movies out there. You always got these idiots that don't even know how to fucking start a fire. They couldn't survive out in the fucking woods if their fucking life depended on them. And there's fucking idiots, making the stupidest goddamn. I'm sitting there yelling at the damn TV. I'm like, you idiot! Why are you fucking? There's a fucking motherfucker over there in the gut. It's like you see those, those like scary movies. Yeah, it happens to be always the white people. I don't know why, but it's like you see a scary movie and it's like there's some scary noise off in the distance, and the dumbass is like, well, let's go check it out, and then get their head chopped off. And I'm like, you fucking idiot! I hope if I was in a reality scenario. Well, I won't say hope. I would like to think that if I was in a reality scenario, kind of like a horror movie, I would not make those same mistakes. I would like to think that I wouldn't make those same mistakes. I would be much smarter than those dumbasses that were fucking portrayed in the movie. You know, but I also think about like that predictive programming. You know, is basically training us to be dumb idiots. This is how we're supposed to act. This is how we're supposed to fucking react. Because it's on the TV. That's how life is. That's real life. That's TV. There was a time people actually believed that My Three Sons and Leave It to Beaver were actually like real life. And, people actually really lived like that. People actually believed that shit. When I was a kid, when my parents got divorced, it wasn't actually a surprise to me because I saw it all on TV. I knew it was going to happen because I saw it on TV. It was becoming a thing. You see a lot of people at that time. There was a lot of marriages that were being broken up and stuff like that. And I was like, that's what's going to happen to my parents. That's what's going to happen. And sure enough, it did. You know, so it wasn't a surprise to me. I saw it all on TV. I knew it was going to happen. Predictive programming. I went out and bought it. You know, I didn't have to go out and buy it. I mean, I mean, somebody downloaded it on YouTube and it lasted for like 2 days. That new Civil War movie. So I could have watched it for free, but I bought the damn movie. I didn't have to. I didn't buy the other one, the Obama funded one. What was it? Um, was it the As the World Ends or some shit like that? That one, that other one. I saw it on YouTube for free. Somebody actually, this is where let's do it, man. I find these people in India. These people in India will download full fucking movies, like new ones, like stuff that would get people their channels struck and shut down in no time flat. They will download these movies on YouTube. They'll last a couple of days, but they'll have that fucking whole movie. Like I watched Furiosa. I had it actually. I shared it on my community tab until it got taken down, which is like 2 days later or something like that. And like some of these like Marvel movies and stuff, some of the new ones, brand new. Matter of fact, what was that new one? The new Wolverine and Deadpool movie hasn't even hit fucking out there on DVD or any of that stuff yet. And somebody out there in India downloaded it on fucking YouTube. I've watched the whole fucking thing on YouTube for free. It was gone in 2 days, 2 or 3 days, but I don't know how they do that shit. I don't know how they're able to get past and have it actually get downloaded, but they do it. I've seen these, and it's mostly a bunch of people over in India that have been doing it. So I'll find them on YouTube. I'll find all these brand new blockbuster type movies, the full fucking thing. Yeah. See, that's another thing too, Unicorn, the nuclear family scenario too. I mean, see the disruption of the nuclear family, that's a communist strategy also. That goes along with that 45 goals of the Communist Party that was read into the congressional record back in 1963. If you actually read that, that's part of it, is to destroy the family, basically. That's part of the shit. And but like I said, I'm sitting there watching some of these, just a bunch of different types of movies lately, and some of them have been these like damn superhero type stuff, or I guess you would call them superhero stuff. People that all of a sudden have some kind of mutant genetic fucking crap, and next thing you know, they got some kind of superpower, and use the powers for good, And there's a part of me that wishes something like that would happen. Especially to me. I would love to be like Raiden from Street Fighter. I would love to be Raiden, be able to shoot lightning bolts out of my hand. Or what's that one girl that can turn herself invisible? She was okay. No, the girl in the Fantastic Four, the one that can turn herself invisible. That would be cool. That would be a cool superpower. Um, you know, but that, that's wishful thinking. I sit there and try to use the Force every chance I get to move stuff with my mind, and I haven't been able to get the Force to work for me yet, like they do on Star Wars. Haven't been able to do it yet. That'd be awesome. It's wishful thinking, I guess. But if I was to think reality, which, you know, it's hard to actually think of fantasy world. It's hard to think about anything other than fantasy world to actually make things better. Because in reality, it seems like these evil fuckers, they've gotten us all domesticated to just go along to get along. And if they can take our weapons away from us, we become neutered like the rest of the goddamn world. You know, the rest of the fucking world and every other fucking country, they've already been neutered. You know, they have no means to fight back. They got really no will to fight back either. See, I've got a you know, it's in my genetic code. This resistance and this defiance toward authority in my genetic code from my ancestors. You know, people in other countries don't have that shit because for thousands of years they've always had a ruler rule over them. So that's all they know for generations, like 100 generations, or yeah, close to 100 generations. Most of these people, they've always had a ruler rule over them, so that's all they know. I worry about what's going to happen in the next 20 years because I look what the past 20 years have been like. And if it continues in the same route that we're heading and what it's been doing in the past 20 years, if we continue in that same direction, what the next 20 years is going to be like. My mom texted me just today, actually. She was thinking about this, what the next 20 years, if all of us loved ones are still alive, what life is going to be like. I'll be 70. She'll be 92 years old. If she's still alive in 20 years, she'll be 92 years old. I wonder, you know, um, just going along to get along, to what end? To what end do we just go along to get along? To what end? If it's not us, then who? If it's not now, then when? You know, you know, now if you believe the stories, like in our country here in America, back in the old days when we were fighting the British, you know, they were considered the cops back then, in a sense, the British Army and stuff like that, trying to, force us into the king's will. And there was a few of my ancestors and a bunch of other people and stuff resisted this stuff. And they went out, smoked dope, and killed cops back then. I'm not suggesting that's what we should do today, because I'm going to tell you something, man. You know, somebody else said this, another YouTuber out there. His name's James Freeman. If you ever get the chance to check him out, also, he's a good guy. James Freeman said this one time to a cop. And he said, you know the difference between me and government? Government is willing to murder me for its beliefs, but I'm not willing to murder government for my beliefs. And that's probably why they continue to do what they do, is because we're not willing to murder them. You know, but they are. They're willing to murder us. They're willing to kidnap us. They're willing to extort us for our labor. They're willing to extort us for our money. They're willing to, you know, put us in a cage. You know, they're willing to do all kinds of shit to us, but we're not willing to do that to them. It's because we've been domesticated. We've been good little boys and girls out there just fucking just doing as we're told, going along to get along. Just be obedient little fucking workers, y'all. James Friedman is a good guy. I like him. I mean, I've definitely been on top of him for, I mean, you know, when it comes down to what he's been doing ever since he started. See, back when I was younger, before the internet and before cell phones actually even came out, I used to do cop watching. I used to run around watching cops. I'd go around with a damn VHS camcorder on my shoulder recording them back in those days. You know, it was a lot harder to get that video out to the public than it is today. So I've been following that cop watching and what they call First Amendment auditing and all that stuff. I've been watching that movement grow over the past 30 years or more. You know, and ever since cell phones and the internet came into play. So I appreciate people like James Friedman and a few other people out there that really do a good job. And James really, he doesn't really consider himself like a cop watcher or an auditor or anything like that. He's more just a guy that is observing the downfall of our nation and recording it. Basically, you know. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. With all this stuff out there, you know, all the disinformation, this day and age of deep fake and all this stuff, it's really hard to believe anything that you see on this fucking boob tube anyway. You know, most of this, any of this stuff could be AI generated, and you wouldn't know it unless you knew what to look for. You know, like all this fucking so-called assassination attempt, all that, you know, could be just fucking movie magic. You know, they got these things called squibs, you know, that where you can, like, you know, where it looks like you've been shot and it, you know, it blows up and, you know, spurts fake blood out and all that stuff. It's very possible that's exactly what happened to good old Big T's fucking ear. You know, it's quite possible that's all it was just a squib. Movie magic. Because they needed some kind of public there. Because honestly, man, if he was to actually to die or not to die, would have benefited the fucking commies fucking in either way. You know, because either way they would have, you know, they would try and push more and more protection for themselves, using the government to do that, using, you know, the government chain. Oh, we need more protection for fucking politicians, blah 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 blah. Oh, and then on top of that, they want to push more gun control. We need to fucking get rid of all these goddamn guns. You know, you can't let a good crisis go to waste, right? There you go, Nuke. There you go, Unicorn. Telling you, can't let a good crisis go to waste. You know, and like I was saying, you know, in a, you know, government believes that they can break the law in an emergency. And if they really want to break the law, all they have to do is just create an emergency to break the law. You know, I think that was exactly what happened. Exactly, Unicorn 911. I think that's exactly what it was. They wanted to break the law, so they had to create an emergency. That's where the damn Patriot Act came into play. Homeland Security, Patriot Act, and brings me back to the fucking good old fashioned fucking digital fucking ID that I am actively resisting against. Because that's where the digital ID came into play, is because of the fucking unpatriotic act of the Patriot Act. There was nothing patriotic about the Patriot Act. But it was because of an emergency. They created the emergency. It's like problem, reaction, solution. They create the emergency so they can break the law. Because, I mean, you know, they believe they can break the law in an emergency. It's kind of like the fucking jab. You know, the little beer bug shit, the stuff in the arm shit. You know, they can break the law, the supreme law of the land in an emergency. So what they'll do, if they want to break the law, break the supreme law of the land, they'll just create an emergency to break the law. Problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem and wait for the fear-based reaction of the people. Oh, government, please fucking help us. Oh, government, please do something. Oh my God, we gotta vote. We gotta vote. It's gonna be the most important election of our lives. They say it every fucking 4 years. Every fucking 4 years. It's the most important election of our lives. Get out there and vote. You must vote for a new ruler to rule over you. Because you are incompetent. You're just children. You need to have someone governing you. You know, none of these fuckers are willing to get rid of the IRS. None of these fuckers are wanting to really get rid of the fucking Federal Reserve. None of these fuckers ever want to get rid of fucking eminent domain. None of these fuckers are actually working for any of us. They don't represent any of us. It's all lip service, man, just to get the fucking job. They give you all this fucking lip service and get all the fucking pulling the heartstrings shit and get you to fucking do this and that and whatever. You're not paying attention enough to actually see the truth. And they rely on short-term memory. You know, they rely on people only remembering, you know, probably a month before, and that's as far as they remember. They don't remember any further back than that. They rely on people having short-term memory. You know, the only problem is like, you know, if we don't get everything, if everything doesn't get fucking scrubbed off the fucking internet, everything's fucking recorded nowadays, man. You know, everything's fucking recorded. I mean, the only problem is, it's like, I mean, right after the attempt on Big T for like a week straight, dude, YouTube was censoring the fuck out of goddamn comment sections, censoring the fuck out of live chats, censoring the fuck off of fucking videos, man. Anything that had anything that was, there was so much stuff. I didn't even have to say anything that was controversial, and I'd have my fucking shit deleted by YouTube in a heartbeat. You know, there was so much shit that was in for that week. Right after the attempt. I mean, it's calmed down a little bit. It's not as bad as it was during that week right afterwards. But I mean, they were fucking heavy. on here on YouTube when it comes down to censorship. You know, truth is the first casualty of every war, you know. And if we cannot communicate with each other, we cannot find solutions. And technically, actually, I think trying to fix these problems that these fuckers are causing these problems, because they've already got the pre-planned solution for these problems that they create. You know, they don't want us fucking trying to think of how to solve this stuff. They want to actually, they want us to just beg them for the solution that they've already got planned, because they created the problem in the first place. You know, my solution, like I said, I mean, me personally, this is the way I see things. All right. They have contingency plans if we decide to fight back with arms. They have contingency plans for that, to actually try, to flip that around and demonize us, and try to make them look like the good guys out of the whole scenario. They've already got those. So we cannot kill those ideas. We cannot kill those ideas with bullets. We have to kill those ideas with better ideas. And I think trying to solve or fix the problems that they create is the problem. We have to eliminate what caused the problem in the first place. Because you think about it, y'all. I mean, I don't know, no matter what country you're in, you think about the majority of the problems that actually arise in your life, where do they come from? Who's causing it? Who's causing these problems? These hoops you got to jump through just to fucking exist. Who's causing it? And if you can actually identify who's causing and what's causing the problems that arise in everybody's life, we need to eliminate what that is. Instead of trying to just fix the problems that they create, because they already have solutions for their problems that they created. Because like I said, it's kind of like, they will create an emergency to break the law. They create the problem. They've got the solution, is break the law. Like I said, it's like 9/11. They created the problem because that was an inside job. I don't care what anybody else said. It's an inside job. They created the problem, and their solution, the pre-planned solution, was the Patriot Act and Homeland Security and all this other shit. That's just one example. Just one example. Yeah, stop paying them would be a good thing, but like I said, like for me personally, for me, like even if I relate, just stop paying them to the digital ID. If I completely stop, I am only a drop in the ocean of all those other people out there that are willing to just comply, and they're not willing to resist. They want to continue to just go along to get along. And yes, and Blue, yes, I mean, and Patty, you're right. They're stealing from my fucking paycheck before I even get it. They're already stealing. They're actually stealing my wealth from my labor before I even see it. Unless I work under the table, and at this moment, I'm kind of forced into, in my situation right now, I'm forced into getting a actual jobby job where they take money out in taxes and all that stuff. I can't work under the table at this moment in the situation I'm in at the moment. So I'm, you know, I either got to take this fucking job and continue working for somebody that, where I have to pay taxes and all that shit, or, continue to, which it makes it a little harder without a vehicle now. Without a vehicle now, I can't get around like I was before and go to different places to sell my wares, because that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. I would go to, there was a gas station that's actually pretty good distance away from here. But I can't do that anymore because actually the owners of the gas station sold the gas station, so it's under new ownership. So I can't even sit in the parking lot what I used to do before to sell my stuff, which that's what I did for the past 4 years, 5 years now. So now that I'm in a bicycle, and I've got like a little cart that I made to carry, that like a little trailer like thing that I hooked onto the bicycle to carry behind me. It's not even big enough to really even carry like the tables that I had to set up all my stuff on. So I couldn't really carry a lot of stuff in that shit. And then on top of that, it's just like a regular pedal bike. So, I mean, if you put enough weight on there and going up and down some of these hills here in Florida, I mean, there's still hills here in Florida. It's not all just flat, but, so, I mean, it gets pretty hard. That's why I'm thinking, I'll probably have to get like an electric bike to help out with some of that carrying heavy weight type of shit. And then most of these roads out here don't even have like a right of way big enough for a bicycle. They don't have like a pull off lane or anything like that on the side of the road. It's a white line, and then it starts grass right after the white line. So, I'm riding right there on the edge of the fucking road down some of these fucking back roads and stuff like that, where people fly down these motherfuckers, and I'm just not, it's a matter of time, somebody's going to fucking hit me with the damn car. But that's why I don't ride at night. I only do all my riding during the daytime. But, in my situation at the moment, well, actually, it's not in the moment. It's actually going to be from now until, now until forever, because I'm not going to get the digital ID. I'm not doing it. I find it, in my mind, the way I look at the Constitution, I find the digital ID, the new national ID card, that they're making all states in compliance of, is unconstitutional. But unfortunately, so-called quote-unquote representatives in our quote-unquote government of the fucking state don't really fucking give a shit about if it's constitutional or not. They're just going to do what the fucking federal government wants to do. Federal government wants them to come in compliance. The fucking states are just like, okay, yes, yes, I'm best up there in the federal government. Yes, federal government. Charming Anarchist. That's a cool name. I haven't seen you around. Good to see you. Welcome to Anarchy Television. I am your host, Wingnut Radio. I'm just on a little chat, or a little rant, really. And Gary, you were all right. I mean, because they got that's the problem, reaction, solution. The solution is the 15-minute cities. And I'm sure, they were trying to do that I was out in London, some parts of London. And Christopher Reel, good to see you out there, man. I hadn't seen you in a while. I think it was parts of London. There's places here in the U.S. also that they want to continue doing all the 15-minute cities. And get rid of our cars, force us out of our cars. It's part of the solution of their problem that they are putting in front of us, you know. But like I said, even what I'm doing in my minuscule non-compliance and my minuscule resistance might be futile because there's so many people that are willing to comply and not resist. So it might be just futile. The only thing is, it's like, I want to stand on my principles, you know, because quite honestly, if nobody actually fucking, if nobody resists and everybody continues to comply, our children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, and continue on into the future, uh, they won't have a choice. They'll be forced at the point of a gun, and America will be just as communist as in socialist and fucking fascist and all wrapped into one, just like all the other fucking countries around this goddamn planet. There's not one country around this fucking planet that's not either socialist, communist, fascist, or Marxist of some kind. Yeah, you might want to call it democracy. Democracy leads to socialism. Democracy leads to socialism. Socialism leads to fucking fascism and communism. All of it leads to despotism. Every bit of it. Freedom should be the only thing that we should be interested in as a people worldwide. There's only 200 fucking families in this fucking nation or in this world that are running the fucking planet. It's like 200 fucking families that run this whole goddamn planet. We the people, all the ones that are scraping our ass for the fucking crumbs, we outnumber them. But yet, we're not willing to murder them for our beliefs. But they're willing to murder us for theirs. New Green Deal. Yeah, fuck all that bullshit. Yeah. New Green Deal, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, America 2050, New Green Deal. Just eat the bugs. You will own nothing and be happy. Because since you won't own it, they will own it. You will just be renting it. You will have to pay a fee just to exist on this fucking planet. Like I was saying, they've been talking about adding a new act along with this climate change thing they keep on throwing in there. It's called the Clean Air Act. Well, they want to tax us just to fucking breathe. Just to fucking breathe, we would have to pay a fucking tax if they get their way. I am not put on this earth just to fucking pay taxes and die. And I don't believe any of you are either. I'm not going to even say I believe it. I know that none of you, Polarin, you keep changing your fucking name. I think that's you, yeah, Polarin. You keep changing your fucking name anyway. I can't keep up with you. Anyway, good to see you out there, sir. I know that none of you are put on this fucking planet just to fucking pay taxes and die. To sit there and pay taxes just to exist and die. I know that I and all of you are not put on this planet to do that. It's not even a belief. I know it. I know it. But there are people out there that believe that you are, and I am too. I am. They believe that I am. That's what I am here to do. Is just be an obedient worker, bow down and kiss their fucking feet, just go along to get along, and do as I'm told, and pay taxes and die. All right. Yeah, Polar, I get it. I'll just, okay, well, I'll just, you know, just trying to keep up with you. But yeah, I'll just have to call you Messenger now, or XYL, the extra large, or extra large. I don't know. And that's another thing too. Like I was sitting there reading what Gary was sitting there putting on there. Um, it reminds me of the digital currency. They're just trying to get rid of our cash, and go to this digital currency. This is the trap. This is another way for them to get control of our wealth. It's a wealth transference. Get control of our wealth, surveil us in every aspect of our lives. And I mean, it's already bad enough. They pretty much know everything about us, because I'm serious, man. There's so many people that just put every bit of their fucking personal information out here on the internet. I don't understand that rationale. That's why you don't see my face on the internet. I mean, granted, if you really searched hard enough, my face is on the internet somewhere. If you search hard enough, you can find it. But I actively don't do it because I don't want my personal information on the internet, on YouTube, or any of that shit, because I value my privacy. But there's so many people out there just willing to put put all of their dirty laundry, all their personal information out here on YouTube and on the internet. They're just willing to do that. That's why, I mean, that's another thing too, man. It's like those, that damn job application, man, and signing that paperwork, 30 goddamn signatures. I had to sit there and put my signature on 30 different goddamn agreements or, contracts, basically, just to get this fucking job. That irritates the shit out of me. I really don't like putting my fucking signature on anything. And you're right, Blue Unicorn. That's the beginning of it, though. All the digital TVs and laptops, cameras, phones, everything. That's the beginning of it. But then you get into the digital money, where you have to have a fucking phone, because you got to download an app and all this other shit, so you can fucking pay for stuff. It's not nothing tangible to hold in your hand. That money doesn't exist except for ones and zeros on a goddamn computer screen. There's nothing there. It's all bullshit. It's a trap. Same thing with was it CBDC, central bank digital currency. You got the UBI, which is universal basic income. It's all a trap. It's to get us dependent on the government, because actually that is part of the goals of the government anyway. Any government, no matter where we're at, no matter what country you're in, that is the goals of the government, is to either have all of us either working for it or dependent on it. They don't want anything else. You know, they don't want us to actually govern ourselves, be able to fucking make our own monies and live away from them and not to be dependent on it, not working for it. They don't want that actually as an option. That's why I believe in anarchy, because I don't believe that as being legitimate. I don't need them out there. None of us really need them out there. And this argument, oh, what about roads? If we didn't have government and taxes, all this stuff, all the fucking roads, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up, stupid. I'm so sick and tired of that fucking argument. It's not even an argument. It's a bullshit fucking crutch to give legitimacy to government. Oh, we wouldn't have any fucking roads if it wasn't for government. Yeah, fuck off, you stupid motherfucker. If you think about it, actually, for more than 2 minutes, you'll fucking actually realize that fucking the private sector will actually get roads done better, cheaper, and in a more timely manner than the fucking public sector does. The fucking the fucking government, overinflates everything. I'll give you an example. They've been 4-laning this fucking road out near me. Let's see here. I think they started in 2006. They said it was going to be completed in 2010. They're still working on it. Okay? They're still working on this thing, making this 4-lane. When they started this, they said the estimated time to be completed was 2010. They're still working on it. If that was a private company that was doing it instead of fucking government, that'd have been done already. That would have been probably in better design, better fucking engineering, better everything. And that's another thing too, Christopher. I was like, actually, man, all of these roads in America have already been bought and paid for by our ancestors in blood. Already bought and paid for. We didn't have to have, we had roads before there was taxes to fucking pay for roads. We had roads before that. We didn't need fucking taxes before then. Why now? Why do we have to have taxes now? No, it's just another fucking way to fucking take our fucking wealth away from us. And then on top of that, then they invent this whole fucking, the traffic codes and all this other shit. Like I said, in America, Huckleberry, what's going on? In America, cops generate about $30 to $35 billion a year just in traffic stops. Just in traffic stops. They steal, more like extort, $30 to $35 billion, billion with a B, billion dollars of our wealth just in traffic stops. And you see the state of the roads. I don't know, maybe in your area where you live, maybe your roads are okay, don't have any potholes. Maybe that's all right, but that's not the majority everywhere else either. You know what I mean? You might have that in your area. They might do a pretty good job in your area, but that's not the majority. We're not getting the service that we're paying for, and we're getting harassed and extorted from. Road piracy is the word. That is correct. They are road pirates. Just like out there in the open seas, the pirates in the open seas, but they're on the road, on land. and they got qualified immunity. They're backed by the court systems. They're backed by all this fucking, the fraternal fucking order of police. They are the domestic fucking terrorists, the organized domestic criminals, the largest criminal organization here in America, probably in every other country too. But I live in America, so that's all I can talk about. Because I don't live in the UK, I don't live in Australia, I live in America, so that's all I can talk about. But it's pretty much the same thing everywhere else. Because quite honestly, the way things are here in America was imported for all these other fucking countries. I know all these other countries are nice as it is but the thing is, their governments and that mentality of the fucking kings and queens and the communist fucking mentality, all that shit was imported here and has been infiltrated, and now we are basically being overrun and occupied by a foreign corporation posing as the government, claiming to be the government. Well, Blue Unicorn, it's the United States in all capital letters, because that's the corporation, not necessarily the U.S. United States of America. Actually, it originally was these United States for America, but they changed two words in that. They changed it to the, from these to the United States of, instead of for America. There was a difference between the two, and now it's just flat out the United States in all capital letters. It's a corporation. I mean, actually, you can look it up. The UCC was it 28 UCC or United States Code 3002 15A. You know what I mean? It means a corporation. That's what United States means. It was bought out and bankrupt a long time ago. That's why they had to steal our gold. That was the largest gold heist in the history of the fucking planet, is when they stole all our gold and gave us all this fucking fiat currency in return. And now they're going to create all these fucking wars around the goddamn world so that fucking the petrodollar and this fiat currency can stay on top. Because they don't want other countries to actually have a currency that actually overrides the petrodollar or the fiat currency of American dollar. They don't want anything that they'll start a fucking war and take out fucking dictators and whatever, just to fucking keep that shit in. That's what they're going to do. I mean, do you really think that the BRICS system is actually going to continue without some kind of pushback? The BRICS system, man, you got, what is it, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, I can't remember who else in the BRICS system. They're starting their own currency backed by gold. Damn well that's one of the reasons why this fucking fight in Ukraine, because it was NATO and the EU that would actually pushed this whole fucking conflict with Russia. And they're trying to push, if they got their way, I mean, honestly, NATO and the EU, if they got their wet dream, which is to take out Putin and ravage all the resources that Russia's got to have, that would be their wet dream. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Because honestly, man, like all these countries that are coming together in the BRICS system threatens the dominance of the petrodollar, or the fiat currency of the dollar, of the American dollar. It's still strong. Like you go to like Venezuela, most people would rather have dollars, American dollars, instead of like Venezuelan currency and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of different countries out there that would rather, you know, versus their own currency, they would rather have dollars instead. You know, so it still has a big hold in a lot of these countries, and they want to continue that hold. They want to keep that hold. They don't want anything threatening that hold of being the tip top of the whole scenario. So, like I said, they're going to put all of us in harm's way. They're going to put all our brothers and sisters that are in the military in harm's way, just to actually, like I said, all wars are bankers' wars. You know, these fuckers out there that want to continue to be our masters and be our rulers, and they want to continue to be this fucking, you know, the tippy top of the whole scenario. Like I said, it's kind of like a real life version, a modern day real life version of Game of Thrones in a way. It's pretty messed up. So I've been going on for 2 hours. I cannot believe I've been sitting here fucking ranting for 2 hours. Um, I want you guys to think about these things. I want you guys to. This is a question I put on my community page a while back ago. This is one of the questions I want to ask you guys while I'm here. Um, have you found joy in your life? That's the first question. I want you to ask yourself this. All right. The second question I want to ask you is, have you created joy in other people's lives? And then when it comes down to what the title of this video is, and this is the final question I want you guys to think about, and maybe even have this conversation with others. To what end do we just continue to just go along to get along? To what end? You guys have a good one out there. I really appreciate every single one of you that came into the chat. Every single one of you actually decided to come in, and anybody else that might be watching the replay, I appreciate all of you out there. Like I said, I do this YouTube shit for myself, but I really appreciate all of you guys that actually enjoy any of the stuff I do. Even if you're a hater, you're still one of my biggest fans. I am the 1122 Wingnut Radio out here for Anarchy Television. Good night.